Good evening and welcome back. It's nice to finally start the show again. As we promised, this is the month of November, and happy November to all the men in our country and in the world. This month we'll be discussing many issues, and my name is Nhlanhla, and I have my producer, Thokozani Ngubeni, and my content assistant, and we'd like to welcome you back to the show. Without any waste of time, there's just one guest that we are going to discuss issues of a man and a man in the family, the duties and roles that a man should be playing in the family. And Genale, my special friend, Umfundisi Nhlanhla Zwane. And Umfundisi, how are you?
Good evening, Mfundisi. I am good, man. And how are you?
I'm good, thanks, my friend. We have a mammoth of a topic namhlanje, discussing the issue elendodale.
Yes.
Yeah. And then I think, coming from an angle where we say there's less men empowerment, especially on the media out there. Everything is women empowerment and women empowerment. And I strongly believe that every problem is in the society. If we can fix the situation at home, we can probably have the outcome better in the communities. And I'm wondering, this man, who is a part of a family and who is a father and a husband, what are the things that we should be looking at development of this man?
Yeah, a development of a human being, number one, let's say it is very, very critical. And unfortunately, we live in a culture that does not believe in development. We struggle sports-wise, especially soccer. We struggle to compete at the international level because we undermine development. And the development of any kind is very important. And there are different ways of developing a man. There are different ways of development. Just give a historical background. We have gotten rid of African social structures that supported us as Africans, that were helping us as Africans to develop our young. The rites of passages that we had, we are now cutting it in Tonazetu, says at all. When they want circumcision, they go to the doctor, and we have cut out the rite of passage of anything. And when people want to get married, they think they will come and see us for premarital counseling for an hour, and they think they are ready for marriage. So all those things are the after effects of removing our rites of passage and social structures and replacing them with only education, which education only develop one side of the person, but not the whole being.
Yes, I hear you. There's something that I forgot to mention actually before Ungena Lapaya Guti. You are not just the pastor of a church. You are actually a marriage counselor. And one of the things that you usually say Guti when I also fundis. What are you?
Umfundisi. I'm a teacher.
Yeah. Not just a caller person.
Yeah, not just a caller person. Ilezi ngesijuda kube bangibiza rabbi.
All right.
Ngesijuda kube bangibiza kanjalo. Yeah, because it's a teacher of life.
All right. No, a teacher of life. Okay, I hear you, my friend. In what you just said, in giving away the rite of passage to anything, that I think this applies for for everyone, for girls as well, and like you say, into marriage. But angithi concentration yethu manje is about this man who should be leading in the house. And I'm wondering, how should our relation or a relationship of a man be with his wife? Masicale lapho, then I would want to know ukuthi, and then in relationship yale ndoda le, how should it be with the children? And maybe I will give you a guideline. I was just browsing with Facebook namhlanje, and I got a question that we ask now: how should a man be in his house? And one of the ladies answered, and he says, "You should be a protector and a provider in his house." So I immediately in my mind what happened something. Okay, so the man has to be the bank and the security company. If he can deal with those in jail, bank and the security, that means all his duties are done. How should he actually relate? Because that's not practical to me. But how should this man relate to his wife and his children?
Mfundisi, we use these terms because our either churches or motivational speakers or whoever that has been talking into our lives, they said these things bakijima, and they never explained to them exactly how they work practically. They will say a man must be a leader. That's a big word. That's a big word to use to say a man must be a leader. How does that look like in day-to-day living? You say a man must be a protector. How does that look like? I protect you from what? What if I can't fight? What if I can't do the physical protection? What kind of protection are you talking about? When you say I must be a provider, what kind of provision are you talking about? But in trying to simplify this complicated thing, we must acknowledge it's complicated. One of the downfalls of Yamachita is allowing their wives to be in a relationship all by themselves. This is what I mean.
Okay.
This is yeah. Guti, we normally allow our wives to be in a relationship all by themselves. And this thing, if we are somewhere, as we are this thing, if we are in a scenario where, remember, children learn by copying, right? They copy, they see. See, you don't have to spend more than 10 minutes to figure out my 6-year-old Guti is my son. You see the way he speaks, the way he responds to things, the way he reasons. You see, when he speaks his language, it's just like mine because he observes me as I do things. So in the olden days, or let me say the generation that raised us, how they parented, you see, I only knew the influence of my father when I was old. When my mother was actually telling me, hey, if it was not for your father, I wouldn't be here, we wouldn't be here, we wouldn't be here.
Yeah.
Because my father led quietly and secretly, and we did not see it. We only saw our mother making decisions. We only saw our mother bringing igroza endlini. We only saw kanti time lami belenza into zalo le eceleni. Belimnika imali mabayithuwe ekamereni lenza decision bese umama ya implementer. And the teen, as children, we assumed umama is the one who does everything.
Yeah.
And when we did that, now the generation after what it does, it begins now. Amachita, they don't make any decisions. I see it in the counseling room here. You find a woman overwhelmed and burdened by decision making. And one lady said, this man is making me look like a woman who's controlling. Because I will come and ask a simple question. Utanda between this one and this one. Zonke is right.
Yeah.
And at that time, you are frustrating this woman because even though she knows what she wants, she will appreciate your opinion. She will appreciate your input and your contribution. So we must learn as men to make decisions. Don't leave your wife to make decisions all by herself, because you are burdening her. You are making her, yes. And that's, you see, this is what we call leadership. You take responsibility, and you are not afraid of the answer, whether it's going to be suitable or not. Just make a decision, and we will deal with the consequences. Because as you make a decision and we are dealing with the consequences, you grow. You get to know, oh, this kind of decision is not right, does not work. Or this kind of decision works. But if you are sitting in periphery and you are not making a decision, the media will be overwhelmed, will be irritable, will not be affirming to you, won't give you the love you want, and then at the end of the day you'll start saying, you're going to look for another overwhelm.
You can control them.
You can control them, and you can just excite them about few things. And that is why, in those kind of relationships, what happens, when she turns 35, 40, she sees you and she resents you and she leaves you. So then it's a spiral that just goes on and on. And a man is not making a decision. Simple decision. Baba, are we eating isinkwa or we are eating papa? No. I mean, I'll prefer papa, and I would like to eat papa. Baba, no, we can't eat the papa because of these reasons. Oh, okay, I understand. I would have loved the papa, but okay, fine. If you say that, let's do this. You see, you are participating. You are here in the family. You are one with them.
Okay, but I have a question then in that aspect, and my question would be, what drives the decision making? In a sense that, are you supposed to be actively involved in decision making on a basis that you are a man, or are you making decisions on a basis of qualification? In a sense that if you're not a food person like me, and my wife is a great cook. She cooks very well. I never want to, get into the kitchen business because of she masters that. So I find myself going normally because I know that whatever comes out of that, it's gonna be good either way. And I'm saying this because of making an example. This example because of my wife knows how to cook. And I'm making this example because of there are wives who are managers in certain industries, and they take themselves as far as decision making is concerned when it comes to money. I'm probably the more savvy person as far as that is concerned. When and whether it because of, I think that's more like the level of thinking. Does that qualify, or are we saying that men should just step up and get into the leading part?
Good question, Mfundis. I think it's a relevant question that you're asking. What we are talking about here, Mfundis, we are talking at the relational part. Remember, when your partner, none of them are well versed in the kitchen. Magazaguwe. Ati, as a well-versed person, as a go with a question. Okay. She's coming to you because she's reaching out at a relational level. It's not that she does not know what to cook and what to do. So when she comes to you, Uzaguwe, as a partner who is concerned, who's assisting her to make a decision, she knows the answer, but she's caught up with the And then when you say, hey, sweetie, the last time when the cabbage, I enjoyed it, this, we are assisting her to make a decision. But at the end of the day, she's the one who's going to make a decision. And that is called loving. That is called relating, right? So when you say, no, my it's like, Hey, lo muntu lona. I came to you because I need your contribution on this
Yeah.
matter. Not that I don't know the answer. You
Mm.
know, it's like we normally do this as men because we don't know really the art of relating. We normally say, my wife would come to me and say, "Hey, I've got headache," and then I'll come and say, "No, pussy, please." You know,
Uh,
she will be sitting there and saying, "Don't you think I know that I must drink a pill? I know
yeah.
that, but I come to you at a relational level. When I
Okay.
say I've got a headache, I'm expecting our band. Ish, when did it start? How painful is it?
Yeah.
Is it deep? Is it is it because of fatigue? Are you tired? You know,
Mm-hmm.
you know, it's a
Yeah.
relational thing, you know. And then we talk
Okay.
about this headache. We talk about this
Yeah.
headache as to where it comes from, what is causing this headache, and
Mm.
and and eventually she'll say, you know what? Can you please bring me some pills? She has enjoyed your presence. She has enjoyed your
Okay.
thinking. She has enjoyed
Yeah.
your heart. She has enjoyed, you know. But Mount
Mm.
Normayin is fine. You are cutting the relational part of things. And as a result, you get frustrated with your woman and you don't need to.
Okay. So that's
Yeah.
where the secret lies in the relations.
Yeah.
That I should understand that when she comes to me and asks me about something, it's not that she's clueless
Yeah.
on how to deal with it. It's that I
Yes.
would want your opinion as a partner.
Exactly.
Okay. Now,
Yeah.
now I hear you. Just before we get into the next one, if I can just make this announcement, so grateful to our sponsors. We have Grace Jubilee Fellowship Church is empowering this program. Actually, every live show that we are running, Divine Grace Fellowship, Jubilee Fellowship is actually empowering this whole live show. And I just want to send an acknowledgement to them as a valuable contributor to what we do. And then this particular one, yeah, the Men's Month, the whole of November, we are also sponsored by Leading Him Foundation that is standing in a gap and hitting the call for men in leadership. So at the end of this one, we'll leave the details of both these organizations on the columns below. And if you need to contact, you can contact them as you wish. Fundis, coming back.
Yeah, Boba.
Now, in the house. How do we
Yeah.
deal with? I mean, the age. We have to be honest. The age that we are living in, our cell phones and all these other gadgets that we have. Our growing up was much different, and we have kids who sit in a house or sit in a corner and they're having gadgets, and their level of learning, I must say, it's exponential. How do I now, as a man who is faced with a challenge of an accelerated learning, become a father in the house, who are learning probably at a speed that is faster than my ability to comprehend?
Yeah. They can learn as much as they can, but they cannot achieve the wisdom that you have achieved over the years.
Mm.
Uh, there's a difference between learning academically and reading stuff. You know, it
Okay.
does. There's some value in it. There's some value in it, and it's something that we must promote and encourage. But at the end of the day, nothing beats experience.
Mm.
We as elders, we must not think less of ourselves as men. Think less of ourselves because we did not go to school. It is not
Mm.
school that help us parent. School help us deal with the economic and social affairs so that we can engage in trading with our gifts and abilities. But when it comes to life, you need wisdom, and that wisdom cannot be bought by any kind of degree. Um,
Yeah, I hear you.
so we need to be clear about that and say, um, you know, my kids know a whole lot of things that I don't know. I ask them, like in my humility and wisdom. I ask them things, and I'm not scared to say, "Hey, show me how to do this thing. I don't know how to do that." And I say, "But Baba, do this, do this, do that." But one thing that they know that this man is wise. I
Yeah.
If I was not wise, they would have died along the way because I've parented them badly. You know,
Okay.
there are things that I know that they don't know. Ask yourself, Wabona, when you get into a group of elders, people who are aged, right?
Mm.
When you bring a girl that is not up to scratch,
Yes. Yes.
outside she's beautiful, she's doing all these things, but abantu abadala, they'll look at her, talk to her 2 minutes, 3 minutes, and say, "Akekho right lo muntu."
Mm-hmm.
That wisdom, you can't get it from school.
Yes.
It can't be bought. It comes with living life. And that wisdom is not only, this is the sad thing about this wisdom. It's not even found to only successful people.
Yeah.
It is also found in people who have failed in life dismally.
Yes.
That is why the
Mm-hmm.
Bible says, honor your father and mother so that your days will be prolonged. Why?
Yes. Yes.
Because and I qualify that verse, Uguti, the honoring of the mother and father should be somebody who is successful, or should be somebody who is godly, or somebody. It says just your parent, by the virtue of them being your elder, right? Why? Because Mfundisi, there are things we know that our children don't know.
Yes.
They can,
Mm.
they can go to school and read anything. So on those bases, Mfundisi, I'm saying as a man, have the confidence to share your life, have the confidence to bring your opinion, and let your children know that you are a parent. And there's a difference between being a parent and being a friend of a child. These are two different things. The conventional wisdom, man, it tells us that we must be our friends with our children, and I sympathize with them. I know where they come from, but let me tell you.
Okay, Mfundisi, I don't know
Yeah,
if you can hear me. I
yeah, I
would
can.
want you to repeat that kancane. Sinike i-airtime isikhathi sokuthi break because of your breaking there. And I just wanted to make sure that we
Okay,
get that properly. Yeah, and
okay.
just the last 10 seconds
Do
of
you
what you
do
said.
you hear me now? Can you hear me?
Yes, yes, I can hear you. I can hear
Okay.
you now.
Yeah, I'm saying as a parent, as a man, as a leader, as a father in the house, don't look down upon yourself because you don't have the achievements that the society says you should have.
Mm.
You must have the art of looking past that and realize good you still have the responsibility to lead and parent. This is what is happening, my gents. I think we must know this. Have you noticed, Mfundisi? Just go Emolini, for instance, ne? And
Okay.
observe abantwana mabahamba either nama-parents or both parents, and look at who do children go to. Children go to
Mm.
their fathers. And I've observed this, I've seen it. Why? Because the child has a need, for a father, whether that father is successful or not. Umntwana wants to know, this is the person who fathered me. I come from there. And
Mm. Yes.
umntwana, as you guide, umntwana gets to be shaped. So as a man, ungasabi, don't allow yourself to relegate your parenthood to your failures. Don't do that. It's dangerous. You are killing your children.
That's good.
Uyangithola Mfundisi?
Mfundis, we are just having a bit of an issue on our side. I think the problem is on our side in terms of network. When we check, they say the problem is on our side. So we will have those little disturbances. But I believe online we are going very well. So you are well understood. Just a little bit of a break. There's Babu Matthew, who posted on YouTube, I believe, and he says there's a difference between parenting and being a friend to your child. I actually don't want to pose it to you, Gakulu, but I would want him to elaborate before probably we can get into it, Lapago YouTube, and probably explain what he means. That would be quite interesting to learn from him. But I think we are back on Fundisi. You can continue. Or if you don't mind, I don't know if you've answered it, ne? I'm going to pose a question on you concerning issue yabantwana. In my house, there's this structure that there are things ezibuzwa umama direct, and there are things that are free. I think they come to me direct, and I think that's those dynamics that where I feel good children are trying to go for the easier route. They know good on this subject, Ubaba is more easy to deal with it, and then on this subject, Umama, she's more easier to deal with. Maybe Umama it will be more on our favor on this subject, and Ubaba will be more on our favor on the subject. And they go, how does one deal with that as a parent to try to bring an equilibrium in the house that you avoid the situation, and the situation is right. On some issues and by mama to some issues. What's your thinking on that scenario?
Yeah, Mfundisi, I think there's positive and negative, right? The positive is that it's fine. Really, there are things that you can better handle than your wife, and there are things that your wife can better handle than you. Those are the dynamics that are fine. There's no harm. I don't think there's harm in there. The only time is that you, as parents, you must be in a habit of communicating these things to one another, so that you make sure Guti abantwana are not playing you in especially in important matters.
Mm-hmm.
If your child wants to decide on a career, right? That thing requires both you and your wife to participate in assisting them to make that decision. If your child wants to get married, for instance, that will require both you and your wife to assist your child to make a decision. But when it comes to umntwana going through some period pains and something that you don't identify with, they can go to their mother, and you can know about it. Mustn't talk to no mama in the private space, but it's something that will be handled by her, and they maybe they want to understand how to deal with men who are approaching them now that they are in the age where sebaya sheliwa,
Yeah.
They can talk to the mother about that, because when I was ushegwe, but this conversation, the only thing that I would say is that you and your wife must be in the habit of talking about these things privately, so that both of you are in the same space where your children's development is. And Guti, okay, you both know what's going on with your children. If your child comes to you, if your child comes to you about an issue, it's your responsibility to go back to your wife and say, "Hey, Pelu Usmakaleng is going through this. She came to me about this and this and this and this." At least you know, and then the wife knows. Everybody knows what's going on, and no one is taken by surprise. I think if it can be handled like that, I think it's fine. I don't see harm. The only harm is when now the naughty side of your child comes in.
Okay.
That's where, Manje, you must be vigilant. That is why I'm advising to say, talk about these things privately with your wife, so that both of you are on the same page. The only thing, the thing that you don't want is for you to be operating on separate development. Because once you do that, the child here in between can play you. You'll find yourself having somebody who has made a very life-changing decisions without you knowing. But when you discuss things and you are able to observe good, manje sekasitoti lo. And because abantwana, remember, they also need redemption. They are also sinners like me and you. They are not innocent. And they can study situations, and turn these situations to their advantage. Especially abantwana are very good to see the loopholes in the home. Children are very good in seeing loopholes in the home. Fella, remember, children have got 24 hours all their lifetime studying us so that they understand how to get what they want. Let me show you how. From age 0, a child wants to make sense of their environment. 1, they want to test the level of power they have. 2, you understand? And how they do it. Then they can see, kunyakaza loya, akunyakazi loya. And they program this thing in their head. They understand, I'm a power dynamics in this house. Ahamba so. By the time they are 13, 14, 15, they know exactly. Mabaza gule parent bayas, this is the language I must use to get what I want. This is what I must do to get what I want. So children have studied us. They know us because they even shaped themselves after us. They know us. So if you are a parent and you are passive and you are ignorant, children will play you. Your child has made a life-changing decisions and you are shocked. You don't even know how it came about. Why? Because you assumed they are innocent and they are not.
I hear you very well. Which brings me probably to another point. Negativity in the house. And and you touched a bit on the child now. And let's talk about this one who's just disgruntled. He's not a mommy favor or a daddy favor. He's just a child in here who just rebels against everything. I believe that some pastors suffer this as well. That you're running a church and everything, and it's your very own son that is not coming to church. He's not participating, and which makes it very difficult for you as a pastor to actually try to mentor other kids while your own son or your own child is not doing the things that you teach to other children in the church. So how does you as a father handle such things? For us it's pastors because it's it's closer to home, but it can be anything. It can be a mentor, it can be a leader in a certain space, it can be a community leader for that matter, where the son, it's not a perfect example of what the father speaks with his own mouth out there. How does a father deal with that situation, and how can we maneuver that kind of a situation that a man has to deal with?
Yeah, let me first acknowledge, Mfundisi Uti, this is a very painful thing. It's a very painful thing and a very difficult thing to do. Let me, and it's not an easy thing to do. I want to acknowledge that. But whoever is going through such a situation, they must know what it is common to men, and it is not something unique to them. And it is a very difficult and a painful thing. And this is how I'm going to respond to it. It depends, Mfundisi, where you come from, you see. This is where now your Christianity becomes important, because other worldviews ignore the issue of sin. I will explain sin, because every time we talk about sin, people get lost because there are many concepts about sin. But the true biblical interpretation of what sin is, the biblical interpretation of what sin is the fact that we are not proper as human beings. We are twisted as human beings. Sikhuluma indaba ezifana nabo, stop it, I like it. You know, because we are not proper. We are fallen. We are no longer holy. We say one thing, we mean another, we feel another, and we think another. You know? So we are distracted as human beings. When we understand that, and understand what our children are battling with that, and we need to help them make sense of their reality as sinners, as people who are twisted and broken, who are in need of a savior. And bese sibahlanganisa ne-reality they find themselves in, and help them to make sense between these two things. The problem starts, Mfundisi, when we assume that our children are okay. And once you live in the worldview that assumes that the children are okay, they only need positive thinking and they just need discipline, then you are not going to solve this problem. I can guarantee you this. You are going to make your child worse. Because akusizi ukushaya umuntu ongana capacity to do what you want them to do. You are just making them worse.
Okay.
So once you understand, okay, my child is struggling with the issue of identity. No children does not struggle with it. Every child is struggling with it. My child is struggling with his own sinfulness. Who's selfish by nature, Lomdwan. And he's struggling to learn the mature. She's struggling to come to the place of being mature and be selfless. And that process is difficult to do. So mangiza ngithi ngumfundisi ngifuna ukufaka nje iBhayibheli kuye ngithi I'm not helping this child until I understand ukuthi endoda, both me and you are struggling with this, and the solution is the savior. You see, that's why Christianity becomes the beautiful thing. Yeah, that's why I love it. You know, because you understand now, good, you need a savior. And once the child get to see that, which has in well, I'm struggling with things. I think something else, but I feel something else, and I do something else. Once you make your child see that, and make them see which they are accepted as they are, and there is a way out, then you are able, you can begin a journey too, because it's a journey. Keyword, journey.
Yes.
To get them to go to the place where they need to be. You understand? So a problem,
I understand it.
In negativity, Yama Christians, is that we want to just pray about it. And we don't attend to the psychological barrier that is involved. We don't attend to the emotional barrier that are involved, because we are intimidated and as capacitated to do this thing, you know?
Yes.
And that is why I commend you, Mpundisi, for starting this thing, Yoguti. Sikhulume as a machita, because we must encourage one another on how do I capacitate myself to handle the emotions of my children? Where do I get that? The education can't give me that.
Yeah, there's a bit of a break in terms of network. So from time to time, I hope that the streaming so I see right. And to our viewers there, if you are experiencing any problem, it's just one of those technical issues, the data, that we can't have a perfect flow of streaming. But I hear you, Mfundisi. I've been getting what you've been saying, even if it's breaking bit to bit. You know, Fundis, I must say, probably my heart. The biggest problem for me is the man who's facing the struggle. You know, especially with all the empowerments that has been going. It's like the quality of the man who is facing the struggle is challenged. The ego yake is more challenged than anything else. You know, when you get to a point where you feel like the quality of who you are, you are not man enough. That's why abantwana bakho baso. You know, you are not man enough, or you do not know enough. That's why umuntu wakho, it's like this. And those are the issues that I would want us to focus on. I think on men, to say this man character doesn't understand. I liked what you said earlier on when we spoke about the relations between umama and no baba, when he's asking question and Kanda, and there is a relational issue. It's not even a professional thing. So everything has to be approached from that point of view, to say, you know what, we as a family, we as a couple, relating people, this is a problem that we have. What is your thinking? This is my thinking. And it's not rocket science. And I not degree lab, it's a relational issue that says, this is our situation, this is our baby, and this is what we are supposed to be dealing with. Now, on a situation, sorry for this, where we dealt with the kids, where the wife now cannot come to the party, men are dealing with that more than anything else. Where, this man says, I try. Cleanly, no is not my thing, but I actually go to that extent where I try to say I want to play my part. But this woman is like resenting me. And how does one have to deal with that moral attack, if I can put it that way, or an ego attack, or a character attack, where a man feels that I feel I am doing something, I try the best that I can, but no mama lo ngathi akaboni ukuya ngaye nje nokuthinta izinto is actually worse than not doing anything. It's better uhlale lapha. How do I deal with those situations where I feel ukuthi endlini I'm not valued? My presence it's devaluing the morale in the house. So I want, how do I build myself up to say, my face is always, it's a face. It will pass. But in that part, how do you sustain yourself?
No, Mfundisi, I think we must also acknowledge the fact that this women empowerment notion, as women, which is not handled correctly. As women, it is a correct and a right principle to empower women, but the way it is communicated and handled is not correctly. We are Kumbula Besigu MOG, we had an event in Abo Mama, and Abo Mama, they kept on coming and telling us what we must man up and come, all these things about we must man up and catch up with their level.
Yes.
And then there's one guy who came up and asked a very important question and said, okay, fine, we must man up. We will do our best. It was that time, men are trash kind of a thing, And then the guy asked a question and said, okay, fine. As you guys are being empowered, who is actually teaching you and training you how to deal with the empowerment that you are getting?
Okay.
It was no and.
I'm repeating the question.
Who is training women on how to deal with the new power that they are receiving now? They are receiving new power. They are receiving the power of money, of career, position, voice, everything. It's new to them.
Yeah.
who is teaching them and training them on how to handle it relationally? No one does that. As a result, a woman is raised to believe good, a man is a provider, a man is this, and man is do this and that and that. You go to church,
Yeah,
they are
a protector.
go
Security
to
in a
church,
bank.
the security in the bank, and then when you get to church, they tell them good, a man must have a vision, and they fail to see good, their men are busy supporting a vision of this one man who's telling them that they must have a vision. They don't have a time to develop their own vision, number one. Number two, this woman, when she sees a man akezizitsha, as much as for the first time uzoyithanda, ne? But that's not how she reasons. That's not how she was taught.
Yeah.
To her, a man is something else. Then she resents this man. Because Mangafika Stratini, she's taught something else, with a man must do 1, 2, 3, 4, a man must do 1, 2, 3.
Yeah.
But in reality, is that his man is actually leading, but is leading in a different way, not the way she thinks the man must lead. And then they have a problem in a relationship. We once had a couple, Mfundisi, where a man reasons like a woman and a woman reasons like a man. And they were so frustrated. They were so frustrated because this woman was raised by his father. This man was raised by his mother. So this woman, she doesn't show emotions. She deals and solves problems. This man is highly emotional. He expresses his emotions. And they were so confused. And they were so not fulfilled in a relationship. They were like, yo, what's going on here? And then the society is telling them that a man is supposed to think like this and the woman is supposed to act like this. And they are both confused. So what do we do in the situation like this? We need to go back to a drawing board and truly ask ourselves, Guti, what is it that we need to do life? Do we need gender roles, or we need people to do and minister to one another in love? When people know how to minister to one another in love based on their makeup, the way they are raised, then they can make that family work, and they'll be able to find new ways of dealing with one another. Because once that thing, that is why I would recommend out that is struggling with that to go to a counseling, so that he is assisted. Good boy too. Yena nenkosikazi wakhe babone ijive labo boy too ukuthi endoda wena ijive lakho nalo nawe ijive lakho nalo. So how do we help each other to forge the life we want?
Yes.
And begin the journey.
Yeah.
And begin the journey. I think that's how this thing can be sorted out. As opposed to ukuthi siloko sifuna uyambona lo muntu lona ukuthi uqakekile akayazi lento ayenzayo. Uyambona lo muntu ukuthi makafika ekitchen ukhuliswa umama wakhe ekitchen ulishaya.
Yes, I hear you.
Uyalifrostana ekitchen lo muntu lo, ngeke umtshele nix ngokupheka, upheka ukudlula wena mama khona. Because your thinking is that this is less of a man, we are not benefiting. And uma ungahlala ngakufundisa ukupheka lo muntu ugcine soyisikoko.
I hear you, Mali. Manje, I think at the end of all things, it's all about relations. There's two people in this relationship, not what the society says you should be or in. Just these two people in this relationship. Good relation like her. Here's a question. Abakufunayo and say, Mfundisi, we have an issue in our house and we need somebody who can untie some things and asbonise in another way. How do people get hold of you?
Mfundisi, hayi leyo mabangaya on my yazi manje mfundisi. I think the best way ukuthi bafone mina ngisebenza nomama ke wasendlini, right? We work together with my wife and I. To bring balance emuntwini, uthole perspective from my wife, athole perspective from me, and we help them to do things like that. The best way is to call us directly on our telephones. It's 084-872-0682. That's my wife's number. My number is 078-990-1031. I think that's the best. Let them. Our phone number anyway are everywhere. Or if you go to our social media page, which I'm not as active. Njalo ngikhuluma nge-Pirates laphana kulamalanga. You can go to my page, which is Zwane Nhlanhla. You will find me there.
That's the Facebook page, eh?
Yeah, Facebook page, Zwane Nhlanhla. And my wife is Makauta Zwane. You can find us there on those numbers. And then as a live screening, you can have them. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, that's umfundisi uNhlanhla Zwane. Umfundisi uNhlanhla Zwane. And they work together with the wife, Mema Gauta Zwane. I actually see Mema Gauta Zwane more on Facebook than you do, unless there's a soccer match or any club or something like that. Then that's when you start commenting. But Mfundisi siyabonga, and I think one day we should host Mama. I just wanted to go to Lake and then one day we should get to Mama here, and she should be talking to us, especially about relationship issues and in analysis. And again, to us, thank you very much for watching. It was an awesome show. Nhlanhla Zwane will also put the details on the comment section. If you need to get hold of him, he's doing marriage counseling. He's a life teacher as well. We thank you for watching. And Habe, give a heads up to our sponsors. Our sponsor, which is Divine Grace Jubilee Fellowship Eko Chabulani. I know we don't have the address here, but they are also have a Facebook page. The page is still Divine Grace Jubilee Fellowship. And for the month here, November, we are sponsored by Leading Him Foundation. They're taking they're hitting the call for a leadership of men. You can contact them as well back on Facebook. There's a Leading Him page, or I think the address is www.leadinghh.co.za. We'll confirm that, and it will also be on the comments blog. From us, Emmanuel Mohlala, our technical producer, Thokozani Ngubeni, and our content producer, thank you very much, and have an awesome night.